Hello and welcome into our MLB Draft special. Of course, this is the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX, and these are my Gabe Kapler glasses. I'm going to go Casey Wilcox style, as Jesse would say, down on these just so the glare doesn't get you. Of course, my name is Derek Montilla, always known as the mayor of the city of Phoenix. I'm joined by two amazing baseball minds in Mr. Electric, Shawn DePaz down below. I don't know where he is on your screen. That's where he is on mine. And Jesse Friedman, who is also here, the Thunderstick, the vice mayor of the city of Seattle, who is in Seattle, as you can tell, because the Space Needle is there behind him.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is a window,
exactly,
just kind of an oddly shaped window behind me, and we have a stunning view of the Seattle skyline. Right,
it almost looks like a painting to me. It almost looks like a painting. But,
almost.
How's the weather in Seattle, Jesse Friedman, where all the all-star activity is taking place?
I don't think you guys want me to answer that question.
All right, let's forget it. Let's just pass it.
It is absolutely delightful here in Seattle. We have the windows and the sliding glass door propped open.
Shut up! I said enough. Today is the 10th day of 110 plus degrees here in the valley. I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm sorry I asked, but what I do want to know about is the Major League Baseball draft, which is happening right now as we speak, and that's why you guys are here. That's what we're here, is to bring you all sorts of breakdown, all sorts of analysis, who the Diamondbacks might pick. And we honestly are just going to speculate a whole bunch, much like most people have. I think with the Diamondbacks having the 12th pick, Jesse, and this is big brain draft analysis right here, they're kind of in the catch-all kind of thing where, like, it depends on who falls out of the top 10, which teams maybe reach as far as top 10 teams go with a pick, and who the Diamondbacks might select. A lot of the players that have been attached to them are attached to them based on if they fall to number 12, which in a lot of cases is not very likely.
It looks like the Pittsburgh Pirates are about to make their number 1 overall selection as we speak. Several reporters have already said it appears that Paul Skeens is going to be the pick, and sure enough, on my TV and right in front of me, Paul Skeens was taken first overall. We'll talk a little bit of Paul Skeens here in a second, but from a Diamondbacks perspective, it depends on how things shake out, right? The Diamondbacks last year were at number 2 overall. It was a lot simpler for D-backs scouting director Ian Rubin to just go in there and like, all right, well, you pretty much just have to rank your top 2, and that's the end of it for your first pick. This is a lot more complicated. There's 11 teams that pick in front of the Diamondbacks. There's a lot more possibilities that could happen there. And another big thing is just the evolving identity of the Diamondbacks in their farm system and their ability to develop players and the kind of players that they choose to select in the draft and the players that they have the most success developing. Frankly, the Diamondbacks have not had much success at all in recent years developing starting pitchers. We've seen them select some pitchers high in drafts, but they have been pretty heavy with up the middle position players, right? Jordan Lawler, Drew Jones, Corbin Carroll. There have been a number of those in recent years. Bryce Jarvis in 2020. Of course, he was a starting pitcher that they took with their first pick in that year's draft. But that's kind of the trend. And currently I'm sort of leaning toward the Diamondbacks going that direction again.
Well, and one of those guys, again, if they fall to the Diamondbacks, which is the best, the most what if here, is Chase Dollander. And Chase Dollander is out of Tennessee. He entered the 2023 draft as the, according to MLB.com, the clear top arm in the draft. Any chance you think Chase falls to the Arizona Diamondbacks here, Jesse?
It'd be great if he did. He's the one guy where I think, even if the D-backs maybe we leaning a different direction, if Dollander falls to them at number 12, I feel like that's a pick you probably have to make. We talked about it on a show the other day. He didn't have a great season overall at Tennessee this year. He had a 4.75 ERA at a 1.27 WHIP. He walked a few more guys than you might have liked, but his stuff is really good. And he came into the year, as you said, ranked probably the best arm in this draft class coming into the season. So if he gets to the Diamondbacks at number 12, his stuff is big enough that it feels like you might want to go that direction.
And the only case that he might draft or fall that far in the draft this year would be the fact that he kind of had a down season this year.
Yeah, pretty much. Last year he was at a 2.39 ERA, 0.8 WHIP. He had pretty unbelievable numbers last year at Tennessee. If he repeated that or even improved on that this season, I think, maybe even the Pirates would be looking at him with this first overall pick instead of Paul Skeens, who they ultimately took.
Shawn, we're looking at Paul Skeens right now. He's in his living room at home. As Jesse reported to us before the show started, many of the draft picks actually are. What does that kind of say about the MLB draft? Like, we want people to care more about this draft, but like, it is the top pick, is the number one pick not being there in the room just kind of an example of how little people actually care about the MLB draft?
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously the MLB draft has like the unique kind of situation compared to the other drafts of like you're not going to see any of these kids anytime soon, and if you do, there's a chance it's not even for the team that selected them. So it's like it's hard for people to like really care about someone if they really have no idea if they're ever even going to wear the jersey of the team that they're picking. So I mean, it's I do think it's a little indicative of that. Like, I just don't think people care because it's hard to care when, like I said, you don't know if these players are ever going to end up on your team.
Well, you're part of the Coyotes podcast as well. And like, isn't it a similar thing with the NHL draft where it comes to like those kids are also kind of the same way where they're not going to be on the team. They're not going to make that impact right away. Yeah,
a lot of times that is true. And I mean, you saw at the MLB or the NHL draft, kids waiting that ended up getting drafted in the 7th round or not drafted at all there for the draft. So it obviously is a stark difference to what you get with the MLB draft. Yeah, I just don't think people care. Like it is. I don't know why, and I don't know if MLB has the ability to get it to a spot where people do care. But I mean, in years previous, it was never quite the spectacle that it appears to be recently, I guess. So maybe with time, people will care about it a little more. But it's just it feels different than the other drafts from other sports.
Does holding it in season make it less relevant? Like other drafts
pretty weird.
are held in season like this,
not
right?
just in season, but while games are being played. Like it'd be one thing if it was like an off day in the draft, or if it happened, maybe 2 days later, it like as an actual part of the All-Star week at some way, instead of being a day before All-Star break during games, and then the team that's hosting it just can't play home games bbore the break, I guess. But it is a very weird situation that I think throws fans off. And also people don't pay attention to college baseball or high school baseball.
Stop. I'm not going to let that comment fly. That is not Shawn's kitchen.
It is not my kitchen.
This is not his home.
I am dog sitting. It is not my kitchen.
Grade kitchen.
I do not. My kitchen. My refrigerator in my kitchen goes up to about here, and my stove is below my waist. My kitchen is not nearly this nice.
He says, "Why does Derek look like Dwight Schrute today?" Because it's draft day. Michael, welcome to draft day. This is how I dress on draft day historically, and always will dress. And again, a happy MLB draft day to all those who observe. Jesse, I'm sorry for stealing your clout there about your story, but you were the one that told us before the show started that there weren't that many guys there. In fact, how many draft picks are present at the MLB draft?
I was told there are 7. There are 7 players who are actually present. Last I checked, there are 20 rounds of this thing and around 600 players being selected. So, suffice it to say, I'm interested to talk to some players about this. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do that here in the next few days. Like, what is it about this process, about, being on site for this event? What is it about it that doesn't excite you in the same way that, the NBA draft, the NHL draft, other drafts seem to carry enough weight where players are wanting to be there? Like, that's part of the experience for them, and they feel like they'd be missing out if they weren't on site. Baseball just hasn't gotten to that point yet. And the other thing we can talk about is the fact that the draft is now held during the All-Star break. That didn't used to be the case. It used to be in June. It used to be a few weeks ago. There's been a lot of pushback on that from what I've heard from other reporters and from people in front offices who don't really want another thing happening in July. Like, we already have the trade deadline, right? Just a few weeks away. This is the All-Star break. Like, front office people want to take breaks too but instead they're spending all of today, all of tomorrow, all of Tuesday just focused on the draft. So
that's a good point. And that sucks, right? Because they want to enjoy the home run derby. They want to enjoy the All-Star game itself, right? So instead they're wrapped up in draft activity, and a lot of times like just takes a lot out of you, right? I'm not saying it prevents them from actually watching these events, but I mean, we all work in baseball. We all work in sports. There's those moments when your job is done that you don't even want to watch any more baseball yourself. You just want to take a nap and get away from it for a little while, especially when you consider how long the draft is and how many options these teams end up having, how deep these minor league systems go and everything that they have to fill. We have a second LSU player now that has been drafted at number 2. The Washington Nationals take Dylan Cruz, an outfielder. And no surprise there. But a little surprise with some of the top 10 picks. Like there was some movement. There was some late movement as far as the betting odds went that actually put Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens was kind of leading the way there for a while, and he dropped out of the number 1 position because there were some discussions that there might be another number 1 pick. And now we're seeing things kind of fall back to where they were. I believe that number 1 pick was Wyatt Langford, outfielder from Florida, who still has not been drafted, and he's floating around out there. But Jesse, the Diamondbacks have been tied to one name, but again, it's somebody shortstop Colin Houck. Am I pronouncing it right?
Colin Houck, I believe.
Houck. Excuse me, Colin Houck. But again, he is another player that it is going to depend on if he ends up falling down the draft to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. He's definitely the name the Diamondbacks have been tied to in more of these mock drafts than anyone else. We have seen some other guys. There he is. Houck is from Parkview High School out in Georgia, same school that produced Matt Olson of the Atlanta Braves. Jeff Francoeur was a long time successful major leaguer. So there's certainly some history there. And Houck is just a really well-rounded player. Has a good chance to stay at shortstop, kind of does everything. He's got it's mostly pull side power at this point, but has some pretty big time power, the potential to develop into plus power. And he's got a pretty solid hit tool there as well, and a decent chance to stay at shortstop. Even if he does move over to third base, I think there's some big time optimism that, his bat would be good enough to play there as well. This is really a solid draft overall. That's the other thing we should probably say. A lot of people, I just saw Kylie McDaniel here on ESPN talking about how, in his view, this is the best draft class Major League Baseball has seen since 2005. So you're talking about an extremely, extremely high quality draft class. I think Keith Law wrote that his top 5 guys that he has in his rankings in a lot of years would all be candidates to be a number 1 overall pick. So really these teams that are in the top 5, I mean, they can't really go wrong, it seems like, as long as they take one of those players.
Nate Cleveland in the chat asks, why another shortstop? And that's a valid question, no?
It is, yeah. I mean, teams will always tell you that they're taking the best player available. No team will ever talk about we really don't have a catcher or whatever. Like in baseball, the chance of any player, making it to the majors and being successful is far-fetched enough that you just want to get the best asset. And if that asset doesn't happen to fit your positional needs at the time they make it to the majors, you can always make a trade and flip that asset into whatever it is that you need. Also,
I was going to say Colin, he could stay at shortstop, but his bat could play well at third base as well. So, that's kind of an easy move if you can play shortstop well. I guess me saying that is kind of funny, saying anything's easy to do, but the transition should be fairly easy for someone that can play shortstop.
Yeah, theoretically, as long as you have the arm, right? I mean, that's really the only question, and I don't think there's really big time concerns there. People have said he could be a plus defender at third base. So between that and his bat, I think he would be a solid choice for the Diamondbacks. The other thing I'll say to Nate's question is, while teams will always say that they're drafting for the best player available, as I kind of touched on earlier, teams kind of have their own strengths and weaknesses internally of what their player development capabilities are. And I do think that even if they don't admit it, they have some level of awareness of all right, we really like this player, but like, we don't know if he's going to flourish in our system the way that he might in some other systems. And so maybe the player that you suspect might be the best available overall is not necessarily the best available for your specific system. And it kind of seems, as I said earlier, the D-backs have identified up the middle position players as being sort of a strength for them. And we have seen that in recent years. Obviously, Corbin Carroll becoming the player that he's been, and Drew Jones and Jordan Lawler both looking very promising as well.
The Detroit Tigers pick is in. It is Max Clark, outfielder from Franklin Community High School in Indiana. And he is the projected. All of these guys are going right now in projected order that MLB Pipeline had, but their final mock draft had that outfielder Wyatt Langford sneak in there at number 1 to the Pirates and kind of pushed everybody back. As far as that goes, he is still available on the board, but they had Paul Skeens going to Nationals at 2, Dylan Cruz going to the Tigers at 3, and Max Clark going to the Rangers, who are now on the clock at pick 4. So everybody in order, with the exception of that kind of wild card of Wyatt Langford from Florida. And he is a very good hitter. So, he's still available. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Texas Rangers perhaps take him. I know that I can't hear it because I've muted it because I'm obviously trying to be a good host of this show and not watch the draft on full volume here while we're doing it. But there were some comparisons there a moment ago to Corbin Carroll. I think it was perhaps with, let's see here. I think it was Dylan Cruz's speed, perhaps. But, it's interesting because right now, Corbin Carroll, as of late, has been the talk of the town, not only for being an all-star, but for where he was drafted. Right. A lot of teams, a lot of fans are going back now, especially when the draft comes up like it is, and are kind of looking at what happened with their team the year that Corbin Carroll was drafted, especially when they hear that he went 16th. And a lot of people are starting to put pieces together saying, wait a minute, how did we miss out on Corbin Carroll? It feels good to be the franchise that has that guy right now, right? Like, it feels good to be the franchise that other people are saying, damn it, they got that guy so late when so many 15 other teams passed up on what could be a generational talent in Corbin Carroll.
It is pretty crazy. But it also like happens every year, right?
It does.
Every single, like Mike Trout was.
We just won this time though, right? Jesse. We're on that side of it this time.
Nicholas says, I think Max Clark would have been the comp for Corbin Carroll, not Cruz. Max Clark Cruz is more of like a 60 grade speed guy. Obviously, Corbin Carroll is pretty much maxed out on the scouting scale in terms of speed. So yeah, but it is always fun to just look back at like first rounds from past years and just see the draft order and how ridiculous it almost always looks in retrospect. Like, there are always teams that make enormous mistakes and teams that, somehow come away with a really good player, like a Mookie Betts or something, like well after the first round. Those things happen as well. So the MLB draft is it's crazy. It's so difficult, for teams to really have any ideas what these guys are going to come into, no matter how much homework you do, no matter how much you get to know the player personally and their skills on the field. At the end of the day, you just don't know what you don't know. And there's such a long road between when the player starts their professional career and when they potentially get to the majors. There's so much volatility in this process, but that's what makes it kind of fun. Like, today, all of these guys are future stars, and you just kind of get to dream up, like, what they could be in a few years.
That's a great point. And we do have an update. The Texas Rangers take Wyatt Langford, who could be, at least in the top 5, could be the best value as far as where people thought these guys were going to.
And of course, it's the one team at the top of this draft that's actually like really good right now.
Right. No kidding.
The rich potentially get richer.
Yeah, man. The Rangers. Well, and honestly, the Rangers, we saw them spend a lot of money 2 off seasons ago. And we were, we got our jokes in last year about them not being as good as that money, as they tried to make themselves financially with that money. But it didn't take very long for them to start actually being able to put it together. It's interesting that it's not those, like, don't get me wrong. They're high value guys are doing it, but some of those value picks that they got up ended up really being the key that put them over the top. You just never know where you're going to get quality baseball players from, and that's what makes this draft right now so much fun. Like, you have no idea which of these guys is going to be the next Ken Griffey Jr., who was out here earlier kicking things off with the draft, and probably going to be a very, very strong presence in Seattle throughout this weekend and all-star festivities next week. But I don't know, for the Diamondbacks, I feel like Corbin Carroll, when he was drafted, obviously it felt like a little bit of a steal, but we didn't know what we were getting out of him. And I mean, I just can't believe how fast that happened. I can't believe how fast he went from being that guy that we were like, that's a good pick. A lot of guys had him going earlier, but whatever. He's a high school kid. Let's see how long it takes for him to get to the majors. And here he is at 22, quite possibly one of the best players in all of Major League Baseball.
Without any real minor league baseball or without any significant minor league baseball experience either. Like, he essentially went from high school baseball to playing Major League Baseball. Like, it is, and I mean, you can't ever expect that, right? Like that, he's definitely an anomaly in that sense.
Yeah.
It is the fun part about
the injury, and you factor in that injury, right?
That's what I'm saying. Kind of with him not having any minor league baseball, between the injury and the shortened season, or the, I guess, lack thereof of a minor league season. Like, he hardly played minor league baseball, as we talked about before. So again, can't ever expect that from a player, but it is, I guess, like, if you're getting your hopes up, the most you can hope for is you see some of these kids in a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, today we saw, or this, obviously with the injury that happened the other day, and everybody kind of holding their breath, it was wild to see how much he means to people so quickly, right? Like, he was the big story on every news channel. He was everything sports related here in Arizona was all about Corbin Carroll being injured and the impact that this was going to have to the Arizona Diamondbacks being in first place. I couldn't have imagined either of those things like being the case, right? That Corbin Carroll has become almost like an iconic sports athlete here in the Valley so quickly, and everybody was very concerned. But as we saw, he was able to play in that series against the Pirates, and he looked, at least aside from one really scary at bat, looked pretty good. He was able to contribute quite a bit, including the game-winning hit in Game 2, which just adds to his legendary status before he goes off to start in the All-Star game in his rookie season in the town he grew up. Corbin Carroll won a game for the Arizona Diamondbacks really quick after he had an injury that looked like was going to be season-ending, and then somehow just miraculously went away and allowed him to come back and play the very next day.
I think it's incredible that Corbin now has 2 walk-off hits on the season, and both of them have come on pitches that were not even close to the strike zone.
Not even anywhere close, Jesse. And he's never had a walk-off hit in his life, in his entire career as a baseball player. And he has 2 already in the first half of the season.
Yeah, it really is crazy just how quickly we went from Corbin Carroll season is over to Corbin Carroll hit, a walk-off. A walk-off hit down the right field line against one of the best closers in baseball as well, in David Bednar. So, I mean, even though the D-backs lost today, and I will probably talk about that more a little bit as the show goes on, not an ideal end to that 3-game series with the Pirates, not an ideal end to the first half of the season. D-backs are now deadlocked with the LA Dodgers at the top of the NL West, which is not a happy feeling for people after the D-backs have had a pretty tight hold on that spot for quite a while now. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Corbin is healthy, like, there's really no more important thing that could have happened this weekend than Corbin just be healthy and look like himself. And I think that gives you a lot of hope going into the second half, that as long as he's here and he continues to be the player that we've seen him be, which he very much looked like in Saturday's game. Don't know why the Diamondbacks had him bunt at one point in this game. Not sure if we've had any answers on that lately. There were some, but the D-backs were bunting all over the place in the game today, which I found a little bit bizarre. But those things aside, the fact that Corbin is here and healthy is really the most important thing for them.
We got another selection now. Walker Jenkins, outfielder from South Brunswick High School, has been selected by the Minnesota Twins. We're up to pick 5. Pick 6 is on the clock now. The Oakland A's are on the clock, so we are almost halfway to the Arizona Diamondbacks pick. But yes, I mean, the Diamondbacks lost today with that lack of offense. We'll get into that a bit more in the entire series. But I think that was kind of that lack of offense was why you see them kind of turning to some other options. I think the problem with the bullpen is why we see the Diamondbacks also turning to some of their younger options. We saw them call on Dominic Canzone, who's been, just absolutely tearing it up for the AAA Reno Aces. And then they called up their two fireballers. They called up Justin Martinez, and now today they called up Carlos Vargas, two guys that are known to habitually throw it over 100 miles an hour all the time. So it feels like the Diamondbacks are just kind of saying, you know what, screw it. We need some reinforcements. We need it internally. And let's try to look at some of these like guys that honestly just have been pretty incredible at a minor league level.
Again, I feel like, again, it goes back to something Jesse said a bunch. Like, you kind of have to see what you have before the deadline too. So like, getting a look at everybody, especially at a time where you kind of need to look at these guys, like you don't really have much of a choice. And I guess it works out in that sense. I'm not complaining about it. Like I said, like even just as a fan, like you hate waiting, like you want to see these guys in action. So it's cool that the situation has kind of forced them into calling these guys up.
Well, and we know what the stats are like for some of those guys in the ninth inning that have been here all season long, right? And unfortunately, I don't know what it is. There's nothing to explain why guys that are able to be as effective as, Scott McGuff and Andrew Chafin are in the eighth inning are unable to be effective in the ninth inning in the same way, right? So I don't mind them. I feel like it's, I want to see them try something different to try to figure something out, because for whatever reason, that's not working. But obviously, like you said, you want to know if at the trade deadline you absolutely need to go all in on another arm. Obviously we all feel that way, but the organization is different. They don't want to give up on some of these young guys when, who knows, you bring Carlos Vargas up and all of a sudden he can find the strike zone with that 102 mile per hour fastball, and he's the next closer for this team, right? Like that does happen in baseball, and you don't want to be the team that passed up on that guy for, kind of the desperation of making a playoff run.
And I feel like the other side of seeing what you have is showing off what you have to other teams, right? Like, I mean, especially, I don't think scouts, if these young kids come up and they struggle in their first 1-2 appearances, scouts are going to hold that against them too much. But if they come up and they do something crazy, it obviously doesn't hurt, right? So you have a chance to maybe show off prospects and also figure out what you have, what you want to keep, what you need to go fix.
Jesse, the MLB Pipeline final mock draft has another Florida pitcher sneaking into the D-backs potentially, according to Jim Callis. He has Hurston Waldrop potentially going to the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is interesting, but it goes back to kind of that idea that they might be looking to go with an arm, and again, a collegiate arm, just based on, the time frame for some of the other players they have on this team, and when they can, possibly call on this year's draft pick to be called up to a major league level.
It's a great baseball name, first of all, right? I mean,
no shit. Yeah,
Hurston
that's
Waldrop?
Fucking incredible. That's a great millionaire name,
Yes.
Like, oh God, the owner is coming in. Who's the owner? Hurston Waldrop. Yep, that's him.
Mr. Waldrop.
Yeah.
Mr. Waldrop will see you now.
Of the drip coffee company. You know what I mean? Like Hurston Waldrop, I'm kind of butchering his last
coffee.
name there, though,
it's Drep Coffee, but it's DREP.
Right. But it's DRE. Yeah, I don't want to explain. I'm too rich to explain it. That kind of thing, right? But
Waldrop does sort of. He has pretty big time stuff, like 65 fastball on MLB Pipeline, 65 splitter on the 20 to 80 scale. Which, I mean, love me a good splitter, right? One of the nicer out pitches in baseball, in my personal opinion. But I mean, I think he's definitely a guy the Diamondbacks could look at. The D-backs have. I mean, I guess like Dre Jameson was sort of a similar guy. Like there's some effort in the delivery, but there's some potential for big time swing and miss stuff. So the D-backs have gone, I guess, a similar direction in the past near the top of the draft. And obviously the Diamondbacks need pitching, right? I mean, like we talked about earlier, you're not drafting based on need necessarily. And the D-backs don't have a great history with developing pitchers. But I mean, if D-backs feel strongly about a pitcher at the top of the draft, then, this organization could really use that.
Whoa. Grand Canyon, Jacob Wilson going to the Oakland A's here. Very high. Very
Will
high.
he ever play in Oakland is the question.
Shawn, you know the answer to that. You know the answer to that.
I mean,
it's a fun.
Jacob Wilson, I hope you enjoy Las Vegas. At least he's used to the desert heat. He's going to do just fine in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
He's got good contact skills, by the way. And again, he was somebody that we talked about, keeping our fingers crossed that he drops to the Arizona Diamondbacks, because that would be a fun story. Keep him here in the Valley, but a little too good of a shortstop there. Jacob Wilson, he is being taken by the Oakland A's. So, interesting there. A lot of good names still left here. And so far, I don't know. MLB Pipeline is Jonathan Mayo and Jim Callis kind of tag teamed on this one. And it's like, with the exception of that first pick where they both agreed was going to kind of swap over to Wyatt Langford, they've done all right so far. So it'll be interesting to see if either of them are right about the Arizona Diamondbacks. Of course, they have Colin going to the Diamondbacks, as well as, like I said, Hurston Waldrop there. So coming up here soon. We could talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks and their game. I don't know what he wants to talk about today's game, because that kind of sucked. But what we can talk about is our friends over at DraftKings. We love you, DraftKings, and man, we missed you. And DraftKings is back. If you want to get down on the DraftKings action, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PHNX. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code PHNX, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. And now, excuse me, I have a very long disclaimer to read. Let me get a drink in here.
Then have Shane to help you out here.
Yeah, boys, go ahead and check out here for a little bit, boys. I'm going to take care of this one. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-3689. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. In West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. On all games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 and over in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bet expires 7 days after insurance. 1 bonus boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Maximum bet $50. 10 plus. Legal requirements for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. See at sportsbook.com, sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. All right. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Well done,
Derek. Well done.
For those of you that are here,
that the show off. You
thank you. I'm going to stop now, but all right. I will say that we thank you guys for being here today for our draft special on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Leave us a little thumbs up just to let us know that we are doing God's work here for you on this draft day on Sunday. And of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, please subscribe to us there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback. Most importantly, become part of the PHNX family. Go to gophnx.com and sign up for a PHNX Diehards membership. You will get access to Jesse's newsletter Full Count, but you also get your membership paid for immediately. You'll get a gift certificate from Mountain Mike's that basically pays for the entire membership. You also get a ranch card from Dobson Ranch Golf Course if you enjoy golf and that kind of thing. I know it's hot. It's 10 plus days of 110 plus heat. We're all going to fry, but let's enjoy ourselves and play some golf while we're frying. Okay. Also, you get access to our members-only Discord lounge. You get a free piece of merchandise from the phnxlocker.com and 20% off all future purchases. You get all sorts of discounts from our partners, all sorts of wonderful benefits. So sign up today at gophnx.com for our diehard membership. We got the Arizona Diamondbacks, of course, in this series with the Pirates. Good news is, after losing 4 games straight, they bounced back. Zach Gallen did what Zach Gallen did, and they got, of course, they got things back on track here against the Pirates, which was a good thing to see before the All-Star break. Let's take a look at the numbers from that series against the Pirates because, things they kind of favored in the Diamondbacks direction here a little bit. But today especially, they went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, which made that batting average look especially bad and was a big reason why the Diamondbacks were unable to complete the sweep.
Yeah, it was just a rough day for the offense all the way around. A day after the D-backs bullpen game to the Pirates returned the favor and had a similar degree of success in this game today. But yeah, overall, I mean, the D-backs taking 2 out of 3 from the Pirates was really important. Like we said earlier, you know, that series against the New York Mets, you didn't really feel great about that. Like,
no,
it would not have bode well if
No.
the Diamondbacks had, you know, lost that series, gotten swept by the Mets, and then come out and you know, lost 2 out of 3 or gotten swept by the Pirates. Like, I think that would really just leave sort of an ominous air as the first half of the season ends. But, you know, even though the D-backs lose today, they still took 2 out of 3 in this series, which I think is fine. It's not, you know, it's not ideal, but I think it's fine. And you know, it gives them a little bit of momentum, a little bit of positive energy going into the second half.
Rhett Loader, right-hand pitcher, by the way, has been taken off the board now. He is one of the names that was that we brought to you the other day that could be attached to the Arizona Diamondbacks. So far, as far as our list go of potential draft prospects for the Diamondbacks, he is the first one now, Jesse, to fall off of it. And no surprise there, because he was a fairly highly ranked pitcher, and they had him going either to the Reds or to the Rockies at 9.
Yeah, no surprises there. I think pretty much every mock draft that I've seen, Rhett Loader wasn't going to make it all the way to the Diamondbacks. Looking at some of the rankings from the different draft boards, Loader was 6th for MLB Pipeline, 8th for Baseball America, 9th for Keith Law over at the Athletic, 9th for Fangraphs, and then 8th for ESPN. So according to those draft boards, like, he clearly was a top 10 player.
Yeah.
And he gets rewarded for that, being selected 7th.
He does.
He's got first round flow too. He's got
top 5 flow. He's got top flow. Absolutely. For sure. Christian Walker, by the way, has become a menace on the base path, you guys. Their Diamondbacks had 8 stolen bases in this series. Christian Walker had one of those today, and he's had a couple of lately, right? Like, we've seen him being a little bit more mobile out there. Maybe is it the mustache? Like, now that he's got the stash, is he a little bit more aerodynamic and he's getting that extra speed? I don't know. We've been asked about the size of the bases making a difference. So what the hell? Let's throw it out there if his face being more aerodynamic is helping out.
I think it's a Kirby type thing where he took the mustache is just Jake McCarthy's mustache. And
Jake McCarthy,
Christian Walker, and so we got a little bit of Jake McCarthy's power.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jake, I asked Jake about the mustache thing, and I asked him if it was becoming a thing, and he said that he was just mad that everybody that was copying off of him can grow a better mustache than him, and that's a rough life to live, and it's fair because that is what's happening.
They got to make the mustaches a thing, because the last time a team made facial hair like a thing, it was the Red Sox in like 12 or whatever, 13 when they won the World Series.
Yeah,
and they all had the beards. Like, let's make this a big mustache team, guaranteed ring.
I've never known somebody to look like Christian Walker with a mustache looks like he's 10 times more the antagonist that he is just because of the mustache. Like, I don't know why.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it was the I'm a looker thing the other day from the Mets series that pissed a lot of Mets fans off, but I don't know. That guy he's evolving and he's getting to that next level. I think the Whopper song had a lot to do with that. But Christian Walker snubbed, Ketel Marte snubbed. They both showed in this series why they deserve to be all-stars, especially Christian Walker with that incredible base, that 2-run saving snag there in extra innings. And he had another one of those today, even though they lost the game. So that man just continues to be incredible defensively over there at first base, Jesse. I heard him talking to another reporter about like how much pride he takes in defense, but then he really started breaking down like, you know, the angles that he takes and the way that he covers that, you know, baseline where he kind of gets some distance backwards on some of those screamers up the line that he's able to get to.
Yes, and he also did say he's a looker. As
he did.
He's
a looker.
Self-proclaimed
looker.
Yeah,
look at things. He just likes to look, Jesse.
The other thing I think we have to acknowledge is that Brandon Nimmo made some pretty wild comments today about Geraldo Perdomo not being deserving of the all-star spot that he got, and Francisco Lindor deserving that spot. I don't know if you guys saw this. Brandon Nimmo basically said that Chase Field is like a close second to Coors Field, in terms of hitting environment. He made a close comparison there. Like some people say it's even worse.
What?
Which is not at all true. Would have been fairly true about 6 years ago. But once the Diamondbacks added the humidor, Chase Field has actually played a little bit pitcher friendly, if anything. Pretty balanced park overall. So yeah, Brandon Nimmo, clearly is not privy to the fact that there is a humidor at Chase Field, and it is not at all the ballpark that it once was. You could still make a case looking at, Lindor's current numbers and Perdomo's current numbers and how, maybe Lindor, with how well he's played over the last couple of weeks, might have deserved that spot. But as we discussed on a show the other day, this was because of the ballots cast by players several weeks ago, and a lot of Lindor's production this year has come over the last few weeks.
Elise, basically in the comments, echoed exactly what you said, but she included the laughing emoji, so I think she's a little bit more on point than you are, because that's hilarious to say that. And again, when you voted, when the voting ended. Like, put it together, pal. Do the math yourself. Blake Mitchell, catcher from Sinton High School. Sinton, I'm sure somebody's mad at me.
Sinton High School, I think.
Sinton High School in Texas.
Right.
Thanks, Jesse, for the English pronounce. Look, remember, I told you, English is my second language, so anytime you attack me for mispronouncing words, it's kind of a hate crime. But anyway, Blake Mitchell, catcher, goes to the Kansas City Royals, and that's interesting because
it is interesting.
I have not seen his name anywhere.
No, Blake Mitchell, just kind of doing the rounds here on the draft boards. He's 14 for Pipeline, 15 for Baseball America, 20 for Keith Law, 20 on Fangraphs, and 29 on ESPN. So, maybe he will wind up being the best player in this draft for all we know. But according to these public draft rankings, a little bit of a reach on paper for the.
I would be so sick if I was a Royals fan.
Callis has him going to the Mariners at 22. That's where Callis has him going.
They were showing that the Mariners or the Royals have like the 29th ranked farm system too, and they're the worst team in baseball. And they're like and they just made a pick that was off draft boards. I would be sick if I was a Royals fan. It's just all bad. There's no hope.
Yeah, this is
honestly, Jonathan Mayo had him going to the Royals. Like, shout out to John. These guys, like, one of them gets it right every single time. Like, they're never both on. They're when they're both on the same page, they're both wrong. But when they're both together, or when one of them is getting it right. So I don't know. But yeah, there's something interesting there. And of course, like you said, it's all depending on the interest from the organizations and what they see in these guys. Nobody. Like, it's so hard to completely judge based on like everything that you get information wise. And that's the reason why a lot of people pass up on some of these guys. Like, how did they pass up on Corbin Carroll? I don't know, but there's a lot of things that tells these teams that, like, someone like Corbin Carroll, for instance, was undersized and he was this and he was that, right? Like, you want a bigger guy, you want a faster guy. Not faster. There's no faster than Corbin Carroll, except Trey Jameson. So, but of course, you want certain specs, right? And when guys don't fit certain specs, then it's let's move on to the next guy because that guy's a little this or a little that, right? Like, but in retrospect, it's hard to sometimes think about the reasons why you passed up on a player that ended up being, an excellent player versus the potentially good player that you got. But anyway, back to today's game. Diamondbacks lose. Zach Davies, not good. I said good. Good, meh, not terrible. I think one of the explanations that I got from people was like, what you got out of Zach Davies today is exactly what the Diamondbacks signed him for, right? To give you close to 6 innings, to give you 3 earned, and to give the team a chance to win, right? And then I saw someone else hilariously say that this is like, you should be happy about this, and it's not wrong, right? Like, it's not like Zach Davies was terrible today, but again, still 3 earned, still didn't go very long, and the Diamondbacks could have used a little bit more length out of Davies, especially considering the bullpen game yesterday. But that bullpen will have a nice lengthy rest now with the All-Star break coming up.
Yeah, they survived. They did the bullpen game, and they were able to get through the game today. Ultimately, the D-backs didn't lose this game because of Zach Davies or because of their pitching as a whole. They lost the game because of an offense that is just, continuing to struggle. I believe the D-backs are at 2.9 runs per game on average over the last 11 games, 4-7 in that span. That's tough. Like if you're scoring 3 runs a game, it's just going to be really hard to win games. And obviously the D-backs rotation has some guys who are going well, but no matter how good your rotation is, you're going to have to pick things up offensively to win games consistently. So yeah, I think Zach Davies was fine. Was he good? No, but he also wasn't terrible, and he gave you a chance to win, as you said.
By the way,
off the board.
I have to say something really fast. Shout out to Jacob Wilson for being one of the only guys at the draft. Like he was there. He got his Oakland Athletic jersey.
Yeah, he's one
God bless him. Like way to represent the state of Arizona well. Thank you, son. Thank you.
Chase Dollander just selected at 9 by the Colorado Rockies. So one guy that, if he fell to the D-backs, I think it'd be tough not to take him. I know we've heard from a lot of D-backs fans pushing for that to happen, but fortunately that is no longer an option at this point as he goes to the Rockies.
Interesting.
Good pick for the Rockies. I feel like you got to draft pitchers. No one wants to sign there.
Yeah, but if you're a pitcher and you're drafted by the Rockies, don't you feel like you were just cursed? Like, oh,
yeah, 100%, 100%. But yeah,
someday.
Yeah, if you're Dollander, I'm pissed. But if I'm the Rockies, I'm like, what do you want me to do? You got to draft. You got to get pitchers young and bring them up, or else no big time vets are signing in Colorado.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so we still have Kyle Teal.
The like button if the Rockies are going to ruin Shane Collins.
Damon,
smash that like button.
That's messed up, Damon. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
Is that messed up, or is that just being realistic
accurate
about the state of the organization that is known as the Colorado Rockies?
Yeah, I mean he's right. We do have Matt Shaw, shortstop, second baseman, still available. Tommy Troy, shortstop, still available. Catcher Kyle Teal and Colin Jesse. Help me out with the last name.
Colin Houck. Aiden Miller is another name that I would mention. I believe I've seen the D-backs taking Miller in a mock.
Oh yeah,
he's not really an up the middle guy. Third baseman, potentially might move to first base, but the hit tool there is, especially the power there is really what gets people excited. That pick wouldn't shock me. And Arjun Namala is another guy, 17-year-old, one of the youngest guys in this draft out of high school.
That's right. Strawberry Crest High School in Florida.
Yeah, it was an amazing name for a high school. I mean, Strawberry Crest, like that's amazing.
Yeah,
be the first Indian player ever selected, correct?
Potentially,
at least maybe the first round player ever selected. I remember they were talking about it on ESPN the other day. I knew it was something
interesting,
like that, but both his parents are Indian immigrants, so.
He would be, I believe he definitely would be the first pick ever out of Strawberry Crest High School. Yes. No player out of that small high school in Florida has ever been selected. So pretty cool for them.
He told a story on TV the other day about how when they moved over here from India, his dad liked cricket and he just wanted to get him in something that was like cricket, and so baseball is the closest thing. And now he's going to be drafted in the first round of Major League Baseball.
That's wild. I have some neighbors that play cricket at the baseball field over here by my house, and I have no clue what the rules to cricket are or how it's played, but I do like watching them. It's fascinating to me to watch.
It is a crazy,
and it is a lot like baseball, but it's wild how far, like compared to where the first base and third base line are, they're like outfielders standing crazy, like farther out.
Oh, it's a circle. Yeah, it's a circle.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it's wild. So anyway, by the way, we are going to give a king snake out because somebody does deserve it, and it's Alec Thomas, because Alec Thomas is once again back. This was yesterday's game, 2 for 4, one home run, 2 RBI. He had another home run today, and Alec Thomas continues to be excellent for this team. And I'm glad to see Alec Thomas back. We talked about how well he's been hitting. I believe he is hitting close, if not over 300, close to 300 now at this point since returning from AAA Reno. So like that's all you could ask for out of Alec Thomas, is for him to be batting over the best you could ask for is 275 and just be the defender you are. And so far, again, since being called back up, he has been that.
100%. I mean, known power hitter, Alec Thomas.
Known power hitter.
Like, yeah, I mean, I every time I talk about him and his ability at the bat, I always make the comparison to Jackie Bradley Jr. because with the talent that he has defensively, like you only need him to be a serviceable bat. Like he could be doing less, and I would still be okay with him taking up a spot on this major league roster. But at batting, doing what he's done since he's come back up, that is like a massive W for the Diamondbacks, and it makes, again, obviously that outfield, like he is the cornerstone of that outfield. Like if he is kind of at this point, I feel like like if he can figure it out and he continues to produce like this consistently, like your outfield is in a very good place.
4 for 7 now in the 2 games in this series with 3 RBI and 2 home runs. So yeah, right before they go on the All-Star break, Alek Thomas definitely back on track. Great to see that. And of course, we are rounding the corner to the Arizona Diamondbacks draft pick. And while you're rounding the corner, make sure to check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection in your neighborhood. And of course, premium gas and premium gas entertainment. Don't miss Shawn DePaz now. He is now trapped in little gas station TV.
I went today and I saw myself first time.
Isn't it weird? It's weird.
It was very odd.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Welcome. I'm glad your soul is now trapped in the gas station, much like mine. You can stock up at Circle K. It's America's thirst stop. Get Polar Pops that stay cold longer. Get your favorite snacks. And again, don't sleep on the Circle K branded snacks. They are amazing. You can get your iced coffee for $1.89, Red Bulls 3 for $8, Monsters 3 for $6, and of course, 12 packs of beer for just $9.99. Make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff. Right now, text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer for 32-ounce Polar Pops. Again, head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And while you're there, get some Four Peaks beer. That could be one of the beers you get. Of course, Four Peaks is the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks. You can get them at Circle K, get them wherever you get your beers. Rattle On Red Ale, of course, the official branded Circle K, or not Circle K, but Arizona Diamondbacks branded beer. But make sure to get all their wonderful beers wherever you get your beers at. And make sure to check out the Four Peaks Draft Room at Chase Field whenever you're there. It's a great place to eat, drink, and see the game from. You can also follow everything at Four Peaks Brew or at fourpeaks.com/events to stay up to date on everything they have to offer, including their Teachers Tuesdays. They are back at the East Street Pub, and every Tuesday through July, you bring a valid teacher ID and receive $4 pints of Kilt Lifter, Wow, Hazy, and Hot Nut. So again, check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. We are zoning in Noble Meyer taken by the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins. What am I doing? I'm old. I'm so old, guys. It's the
if you
worst.
can't get the Oregon State Player of the Year to show up to the draft,
what are we doing?
He is at the draft.
The 2023 Gatorade Oregon Player of the Year. Yeah,
in Seattle, like that would have been a bad look. So I'm glad at least he is there.
I mean, it is kind of, I feel like it's a bad look in general that so many of the top 10 players aren't there. Let's be honest. But they had Noble Meyer going to the Rockies. So again, this is kind of freeing up some of those guys. We still have Kyle Teal, who a lot of people believe is going to be taken by the Angels here next. So that's probably the next name to come off the board. That's going to free up a couple of guys, including Colin, Jesse, how do you say his last name? Hauk?
Call it out.
Like Tanner Houck, the MLB pitcher that already.
I can't say it.
Legendary Boston Red Sox, Tanner Houck.
Yes.
Right.
Third baseman Braden Taylor is also still available from Texas Christian. He is a name that they had kind of going a little bit higher as well. So a couple of options here for the Diamondbacks. And again, like we said, it was all based on who they had fall to them. So Jesse, prediction time, who are they taking?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends here on who the Angels take at 11. If the Angels don't take Kyle Teal, I mean, Kyle Teal is kind of slipping in this draft. I would not be shocked if the Diamondbacks went that direction. I did see a few mentions of Teal from a few of the guys who are really plugged into the draft, and as far as the Diamondbacks are concerned, I do think there was some level of interest there. And according to I mean, if we check like big boards from some of these different outlets, MLB Pipeline is Teal at 7, Baseball America 10, Keith Law had him at number 6. And
did they not?
They did not. Well, no, hold on. I don't know because
do you have information that I don't?
They have Nolan Shanuel, a first baseman from FAU.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Kyle Teal is it looks like Kyle Teal.
I'm predicting Kyle Teal.
Diamondbacks.
Let's go. My prediction.
A catcher.
Man,
interesting.
I think again,
after all this talk of a middle infielder, and it's going to end up being someone behind the plate.
A catcher. Not the worst thing, right? I mean,
D-backs have not D-backs like high catcher draft picks. There's not a lot of great history there. Obviously, Dalton Varsho was a pretty good one that long ago.
Well, where is he playing?
Not quite this high in the draft.
Where is he playing right now? What position is he playing? Where is he playing?
Yes.
All right.
But you basically drafted Gabriel Moreno with that pick, so you think about it like that.
That's fair.
And Lourdes Gurriel Jr., are you kidding me? Like, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has kind of been incredible. People are dyeing their hair purple because of him. I don't know if you've heard that. It's wild. But Diamondbacks are on the board. It's time. They're on the clock. I mean, it's time. Let's go. Let's get this done, baby. A lot of great options for them, though. Again, it's kind of the benefit of, like, I hate to say this, but, like, the Diamondbacks brought this up last year when they fell to second, right? When they fell to second, they felt like the pressure was off there because, number one, you're the one making the decision. Now, when another team is making that one decision before you, you get to kind of like, all right, well, they didn't take this guy, so now we feel pretty good about taking him because, like Drew Jones, for instance, was at times the consensus number 1 overall pick. And when he drops to the Diamondbacks at 2, that feels like a win, and that feels like you feel a little bit better. I Am the Larry says that the Diamondbacks are taking shortstop Tommy Troy with the pick, according to Joe Doyle. So let's see if that ends up happening. That is kind of surprising, but then not real because, like we said, here they are going with a middle infielder.
Yeah, interesting. Joe Doyle is not a reporter name we're necessarily familiar with here.
No,
but he has the blue check mark on Twitter, which I think
means something I don't know. You know what? I don't trust Joe Doyle, but you know who I trust? I trust Larry. I have a lot of confidence in Larry. But we'll see. We'll see what happens because, of course, this is where they're on the clock right now, so we'll know the answer here shortly. But All-Star festivities. Jesse Friedman is once again in Seattle, as you can tell. The Space Needle behind the Space Needle again, Jesse. Make sure everybody knows you're in Seattle by showing them the picture behind you. There you go. Get out of the way. There you go. That proves he's in Seattle. And, of course, are you going to the home run derby? Or are you going to stand in the outfield at the home run derby, more important? Or are you going to just
I'm actually in the auxiliary press box down the right field line. So
let's fucking go.
I'm like
snag some fucking foul balls, Jesse.
I'm like on the inside part of it though. So like unless one of the homers like shatters the window in front of me, I don't think I really have a chance to catch anything.
Damn it.
But I mean,
I want you going out there. I want you making a play. You know what I mean? I just want you putting in an effort. You don't have to actually bring back a ball, but I would love a ball brought back to me, is what I'm saying.
I do think Joe Doyle is a pretty trusted reporter here. So it does appear the Diamondbacks are most likely taking Tommy Troy. We'll obviously wait for official confirmation.
Hashtag in Larry we trust.
Hashtag in Larry we trust. Then Eric Longenhagen has said it too. So yeah, it appears the Diamondbacks are taking Tommy Troy.
Pac-12 in the pack, back to pack, baby. Back to pack.
Back to pack.
There you go. Tommy Troy is a shortstop out of Stanford, 5'10", 197. The D-backs love these like shorter guys, you know.
Yeah, they do.
They've had all
it worked out for them last time. Shut up.
So according to MLB Pipeline, Tommy Troy has a 50 hit tool, 50 power, 55 run, 50 arm, 50 field. So basically just kind of solid across the board. He's
got all the tools.
He has.
Sounds like he has all the tools.
He does have all of the tools to a certain extent. There is certainly a chance that Tommy Troy could wind up moving over to third base at a certain point. But yeah, if that is indeed the pick, a guy, out of Stanford, a guy that I know some people really viewed as being underrated in this draft, and some people had him ranked a lot higher than others. Looking at all of the different lists here, MLB Pipeline has him 17th, Baseball America 12th, Keith Law 13th, Fangraphs has him 8th, and then ESPN has him 19th. So
MLB Network just had notable D-backs draft picks and went Paul Goldschmidt, AJ Pollock, Chase Anderson. That's incredible. Then they also complimented him on their ability to pick, position players. And then they went through like Corbin Carroll, Jake McCarthy, they brought up Pavin Smith. They also brought up, a number of guys. Here we go. It's official. Rob Manfred's out there. And I feel like Tommy is the guy. Yep. Here we go.
I wish I could hear the boos.
I can't hear the boos. I need to hear the boos. Tommy Troy, your newest member of the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. Let's go, Tommy Troy. Of course, Tommy Troy, shortstop, infielder. We don't have a lot. I don't have a lot on him. Didn't think the Diamondbacks were going to pick him, to be honest. But he's selective hitter. And, of course, much unlike Corbin Carroll, he rarely chases outside of the zone, makes consistent, hard contact. Power is average, but he did play third base at Stanford this year. Seems like he can also play second base and play outfield as well, Jesse?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some positional versatility there. I think some outlets have him listed as at a different position as others. I think primarily shortstop and third base. But yeah, the Diamondbacks are, Troy is not the name that we've heard much of throughout this whole prospect, right? It was Colin Houck, and more Colin Houck. But not necessarily a huge shock here, right? We talked before about the Diamondbacks, how they've really had some success lately with going with up the middle position players, and Troy certainly fits that mold. And, like some of these other guys they've taken in recent years, and I guess as you'd expect near the top of the draft, Troy doesn't really have any clear weaknesses. He has speed, he has the ability to potentially stay at shortstop in the long term, and he has the ability to hit and grow into some power potentially as the years go by. As we said before, at 5'10", 197, the frame doesn't necessarily jump off the page, but this organization certainly knows a thing or two about guys being able to have a little bit more power than their physical frame would suggest that they would have. So Fearless Vampire Killer says, opens up the possibility we trade Lawler. I don't necessarily view it that way. I think it's kind of the D-backs just sort of taking the player that they think, has the best chance to pan out in the long term. You'll sort through the positional needs and whatnot when you get to those points. But yeah, certainly, I'm sure that reports will come out about Troy and all of the grades and whatnot will come out. And I don't think people are going to view this negatively. I think this is going to be pretty widely viewed as a solid pick for the D-backs, not a steal by any means, but a solid pick for the organization.
He played in the Cape Cod League in the summer of 2022, and he was named the best prospect in the entire league. He slashed 310, 386, 531. So, I mean, he apparently went undrafted in 2020. He was part of the draft, and he was not drafted due to the draft being shortened and also his commitment to Stanford. It sounded like he wasn't going to sign anyway if he was drafted. So now the Arizona Diamondbacks have a good chance to make this well-rounded player into a part of their organization. Or honestly, at this point, I mean, maybe potentially, potentially he's part of a trade. Who knows? The Diamondbacks have said they're not trading any major league ready talent, but at the same time, they're going to be very aggressive at the trade deadline. So I don't get attached to anybody now at this point in the minor league system. Tommy Troy, welcome. I don't know if you'll stick around, but I hope you have a great career, and welcome to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I will say while at Stanford, the one series they played in Arizona this year, against the ASU in Phoenix, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs in 3 games. So maybe he really likes playing in the heat.
Let's go. We play for rings in the desert, Shawn.
Yes, sir.
We play for rings in the desert.
There you go. Another thing I'll add here is, we've talked about the D-backs kind of favoring these up the middle position players.
Yes.
Both Drew Jones and Jordan Lawler and also Corbin Carroll, right? All out of high school. Tommy Troy out of college. So this is a little bit of a shift in that sense. Troy is a guy who could move up the system a little bit more quickly, not necessarily super quickly, but a little bit more quickly than some of those other guys. I think someone also pointed out that Fangraphs has an 80 speed grade on Tommy Troy, which is interesting. I've seen one site, I think Keith Law mentioned him having 55 speed, and then Fangraphs has him in 80. So I'm not sure exactly what the deal is there. But yeah, Long and Hagen.
Can we all get on the same page with our speed ratings? That like there's a lot of things I understand that could be all over.
Yeah, I was about to say
speed feels pretty objective.
Like, how fast did he run? How long does it take him to run?
Do we have a radar gun? Base? Did we clock him? Like, let's figure this out. We have a fucking to first base time or whatever, right? Like we do with Corbin Carroll all the time. Let's figure it out.
It is weird that Fangraphs also has him listed as a third baseman rather than a shortstop, as we touched on earlier. There's some variance there. There aren't that many third basemen with 80 grade speed out there, so it's kind of an interesting profile.
Everybody that has an 80 grade speed needs to race Corbin Carroll. That's it. And that's it. I want Ellie De La Cruz versus Corbin Carroll. I want to see who's faster because that's been a debate. I need that to happen at some point in the near future. And then every prospect that comes up that supposedly has an 80 grade has to face the winner of that race, right? And maybe we can get Dre Jameson in the fold. Still have no updates, by the way, on Dre Jameson for Arizona Diamondbacks fans. He is still getting a second opinion, right, Jesse? Like that seems to be the case. I'm not sure if that's come through. I haven't seen any updates on that, but it feels like
nothing yet.
Yeah, it feels like as much as we want the second opinion to come out and say something different, it feels like it's not going to be great. But we are here and we are ready to welcome our newest member of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Tommy Troy. Tommy Troy, let's take a look at this guy. Here he is. Your top pick for 2023 from the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, on Pro Baseball Reference, based on his college stats, he says he's only ever played 5 games at third base. So it's interesting that one site has him listed.
Has him as a third base.
But he's played far more at second than he's played at third. But regardless, I think similar to what we were talking about with shortstops in general, like the potential for him to move to almost any position. Like obviously, we talk a little bit about third, but he's obviously plays second. I mean, half the time these guys are athletic enough to end up playing somewhere in the outfield too. So, based on like a pure potential, I like them drafting a shortstop, obviously. And I mean, it's a Pac-12 guy, so it's a guy that they presumably got to see a decent amount here on the West Coast without having to spend too much money on scouting. So hopefully they got a pretty good look at him and know. They obviously got a good look at him. They're drafting him in the first round, but hopefully that means they got a better look at him than other teams, and they maybe did get a little bit of a steal. Who knows?
Mark Solaris says he looked at his Instagram and he has B+ hair, so I'm a little concerned there. I thought
I don't know what that means.
I really thought we only I thought we only do like S tier and A tier hair, yeah. But Connor Johnson backs the pack. And of course, Nicholas Scooters asks, can you guys give your thoughts on what we do at third base this year? Rivera has been abysmal this month and Longo can't play every day. And yeah, Emmanuel Rivera, as much as we stand Rivera, he has not been the hitter that he once was there for a stretch. And not great defensively there. I don't know. Josh Rojas continues to struggle. I think is he still injured in Reno, Jesse?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, lumbar issue did not sound great.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do at third base. I mean, honestly, there's the possibility of Perdomo playing over there and having Nick Ahmed at shortstop and Perdomo at third. I don't know. Would you pursue that? No.
God, no. I mean, I don't want to see Nick Ahmed on this playing big time games like in the playoffs. I mean, we go back to what Hazen had said a while ago about potentially acquiring a power bat. I mean, seems like
I think Longo would still be in there for like big time games. It's just more for like getting us through the season.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think Longoria would probably, right? Wouldn't Longoria?
But I mean, isn't that ultimately isn't the question ultimately what they do at third base? Like, I guess that's assuming that Longo is not a real answer there either. Right?
No, he's not. He's not. But he's been better, I think, than we could have expected. I mean, defensively, he's been pretty good over there, and offensively, he's flashed the bat. I don't know.
But I mean, if you're looking for an upgrade there, and he said that, and Hazen had said that he was interested in a potential power bat, I guess that would be. I don't know who that would be, or if that isn't even a real option at the deadline. But I guess that would make sense.
There you go. Yeah, that's realistic.
Why not?
For sure.
I'm swing for the fences. Swing for the fences.
Package deal would be.
I think like Jeimer Candelario maybe of the Nationals. I think I mean, he's probably a piece that will get moved at the deadline. I think that's pretty realistic.
I like that.
But yeah, I mean, how much does Candelario move the needle over the Rivera Longoria situation at third base that they have going now?
Sox want to trade. Sox want to trade Rafi Devers by any chance?
Yeah, sure.
Him over here.
We'll take him.
I don't know if the D-backs are ready to take on that contract. But,
this trade deadline
take the under on that.
The trade deadline is going to be a nightmare, you guys. It really is. And the only reason why I say that is because everybody's in it. Everybody's in it. Every team is in it, except the Colorado Rockies. Of course, they're not in it. But Jesse, you are in Seattle. What can we expect? Again, what can we expect? You said you're gonna be there for the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game for both of those. And you have any picks for the Home Run Derby yet?
Oh, I was actually talking about that today with one Patrick Lyons from DNVR over lunch. We were kind of going back and forth on the bracket and who we thought was going to win all of the matchups. I don't think I narrowed it down to two guys. I don't know if I actually selected my winner, but I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to say that Adolis Garcia of the Texas Rangers is going to win the Home Run Derby tomorrow. I do think there's going to be some fireworks. I think like Julio against Pete Alonso, they're matched up in the first round. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But sometimes when you have those really good matchups early on, just like takes it out of guys like in the first round. They just don't have the juice to make it all the way. So yeah, it might not be like an all-out show by Garcia. I think there's going to be some fun moments along the way with some other guys, but I've got Garcia winning it in the end.
I got Luis Robert.
He was the other guy.
That's the
he was the other
pick.
guy.
Is he not the favorite?
I narrowed it down to Garcia.
Pete Alonso actually is the betting odds favorite, believe it or not.
Is he? I thought Robert was. I know Robert's the 1 seed, whatever that means in the tournament.
Yeah. No, I was going with betting odds favorites.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I did a boring parlay of him and Pete Alonso being in the finals, but hey,
as soon
plus
as
600 odds, I'll take it.
I mean, I sprinkled a little bit on Adley Rutschman. Shout out Connor because he was the longest odds, and that would be fun. But as soon as he announced, I said that Pete Alonso was going to win it. He's the corniest dude alive, and the fact that he lost last year. Like, I feel like he's going to take it way more seriously than everyone else and is going to hit like 83 home runs and like just refuse to lose because he's a dork. So.
Well, we will have updates for you. We will be back on Monday with our, of course,
it's tomorrow.
Mailbag Monday episodes tomorrow.
Less than 24 hours away. Right back here.
I don't know time, and I'm sad. I don't know anything, but I wish I was in Seattle with Jesse. I wish Shawn and I were there, but Jesse will be there in Seattle, bringing us updates from that Home Run Derby. He'll pop in with us during Mailbag Monday, and of course, we are going to do our Tuesday episode after the All-Star Game, so make sure to stop by. Outside of that, I think everything else is 1 o'clock shows for the week, except Friday's episode when baseball comes back, and the post-game show after the Diamondbacks road game against the Toronto Blue Jays. So keep it locked right here to PHNX for all of your Diamondbacks news and for the entertainment value alone that we offer you. Look at this outfit I'm wearing. Let me put my glasses back on. Let me get this shit going. But of course, what I want to tell you is if you want to have a really good time, check out Wink. Wink is our friends that makes cannabis-infused drinks, and they are delicious. And they have a wide variety of drinks. They have a couple of brands. They have their Wink-branded drinks that just kind of get you a little high. But you know what I'm down for? I'm ready for a liftoff. Show is Shawn to pause. We're ready to get lifted off. Countdown is a drink that Wink offers that is a nano emulsion cannabis-infused beverage that delivers a sky-high blast with powerful flavor. It's available in 7 states currently, including Arizona. So you guys are lucky that you live in one of the greatest states in the entire United States of America. Are you ready to escape the ordinary? You're just moments away from liftoff with Countdown. Leave it all behind, knowing you'll return safely to Earth. 25 milligrams of THC in liftoff or in Countdown. And of course, don't mess around with those, right? Like we know these are a little powerful, but
the other day when Max walked in with a cooler full of countdowns and asked you and Damon if we wanted one, and all 3 of us were already sipping.
We're like, yo,
we were all just like, brother,
one is enough, my man. One is enough. We already got to where we needed to go, but check out Drink Wink, and that is WYNK.com. and countdowndrink.com to utilize their drink finder to locate a store near you that's selling their delicious products. You can also order directly online. That is for Wink only and for their 2.5 milligram can. So make sure to check out our friends at Wink. And also, if you want to go to baseball games, if you want to go to the All-Star game, you want to go to any game, any concert, any event, make sure to check out Game Time. It is the place to buy last-minute tickets. It is the place for last-minute ticket deals. It's the place for procrastinators. And of course, it's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the entire country for a reason. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code of PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute ticket deals, lowest price guaranteed. Jesse just disappeared. He's gone. Bye, Jesse. We love you.
Rains.
Yeah, that Seattle. That's crazy. That crazy Seattle internet comes sometimes.
Yeah.
I
think the because the window that he had behind him, a bird flew through it and took out his internet or something. I don't know.
It's a good story. It's better than maybe the
Space Needle collapsed onto his apartment.
Oh my God, it blew up.
He's okay.
Is the city of Seattle still there? We're worried.
Yeah, it's fine. He just not that. It's just not that the internet.
You know I worry about Jesse at all times. So, he's back. There he is. Oh my God.
Everything just went off at the exact same time. I have ESPN going.
Nope, there he goes again.
Oh,
he's drinking those countdowns. Look at him. He's adorable frozen that way. Let's just leave Jesse frozen like that. That's perfect. You can follow us all on Twitter, including Jesse, that adorable scamp. He's at Jesse N. Friedman. I am at Cap_Caveman with a K. Shawn is at Shawn_DePaz. You can see our names right here. We are all Damon's dogs. But of course, you can follow Damon at DamonDog, DAWG on Twitter. Of course, our show is at PHNX_DBacks, and all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm so glad he's frozen.
It's awesome.
It's like he's from the movie Mannequin, and he went back to being a mannequin. But for Jesse in Seattle, for Shawn here in Phoenix, oh man, no, it's too bad.
I'll stay frozen for the rest of it.
Yeah, you stay frozen. All right, for all of us here, we appreciate you guys showing up. Welcome to the family, Tommy, Troy. You guys, thank you for your time. Of course, make sure to join us tomorrow for our Mailbag Monday episode. And until then, we will miss you. Thank you again on behalf of everyone here. We love you. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you take a middle infielder in the draft.